to be more like Harvey.
I'll keep you company.
Thank you.
No, we're just. Do you need this?
No, it was just here. Are we ready? Good morning and welcome to Dawn Mountain Sunday Meditation. Thank you for coming, both those of here physically and those remotely. At the end of the gathering, we will dedicate the merit of our practice today. So if you have the name of someone who especially needs energy today, recently passed or is ill or just stressed, please put their name in this book and we'll read those names at the end. If you're remote, you can put names in the text and we'll get them in the book. Let's start with our opening aspirations from the group practice sheet. Listed at the top as the aspiration and the Shanti Deva. May all beings always have happiness and its causes. May all beings always be free of pain and its causes. May all beings always be free and live happily. May no beings ever cling to those near nor spurn those far. For as long as space abides, as long as the world remains, just so long may I be there, resolving all beings' pain. There are three essential purposes of our practice: to aspire it, to benefit ourselves and others, and to let go of what holds us back, which is the essence of wisdom. For both of these, we need attention and we need ease. This is what we develop during this practice. We give ourselves time to settle, bringing attention to what we call the three pillars that support us. Most briefly, these supports are the earth itself, which you can feel that you're sitting on your chair, your cushion, and you get the support from the center of the earth, and your feet on the floor. Also, our skeletal structure carries this support up, and our central energy channel from our abdomen up to the crown of our head. The purpose of this practice is to develop our attention, mindfulness, by letting go of our discursive thoughts and being aware of the present moment. The practice alternates between a simple sitting, focusing and calming the mind through awareness and the breath, and chanting a sacred syllable, and the resting in the expanded openness. We'll start with the silent meditation. Sit upright, but not stiff. Your hands can be on your legs or in your lap. Simply rest your attention on your breath. Notice your in-breath and your out-breath. And as thoughts come, we don't need to follow them. Just when you notice one, let it go and go back to following your breath. move to the second part of our practice given to us by our teacher in Tibet, Edzam Rinpoche, which is chanting the sacred syllable Hum. We'll chant it twice with it, each exhale, everyone at their own pace, and it will go on for almost as long as the silent meditation. Now we'll go back to the silent meditation, resting our attention on our breath, bringing our attention back every time it wanders. chanting again now. Notice the resonance of your voice as you chant moving through our central energy channel.
You can also, if you feel that your energy and your voice and your mind especially is one with the sound. Mind is one with the sound.
Om. One more time, we'll go back to the silent meditation, resting our attention on our breath.
And if it's helpful, you can review again the three pillars mentioned earlier. Taking a moment to feel the contact with your seat, knowing that support is coming to you from the center of the earth, which is directly beneath you. Just feeling into your deep seat, deep support. And sometimes that helps just naturally bring us more stability and comfort. And then to your breath.
comments or questions about today's practice? Anything you've noticed that you didn't notice before?
Is there some kind of difference? We do two different things, right? We follow the breath. We feel our chair. I guess that's a third thing. We feel our support. We follow the breath. And then we're just with sound. So the breath, there's maybe kind of like some things there. But with sound, not so much. Where's sound? So I'm just curious. There's no right or wrong answer, you know. How is it for you when you do that? Is it a little different when you do one or the other? Are they the same? Are you like totally somewhere else in both cases, so it doesn't matter? Honestly, that happens. Just curious. Can you guys hear me? Do I need to use this mic? No, probably not. Anyway, asking you guys.
It would be helpful if you used the mic, and
You can have the mic when you speak. So just inviting everyone, as we do, to, you know, we do a couple of different things actually when we sit. We sense into our seat. That's one thing. We observe our breath. It's a little bit another thing. And then we sound hum, maybe uniting mind with sound. Maybe that doesn't even make any sense. So, just curious, some of you are practicing for a long time, some of you not so long time, maybe first time. So very interesting. Beginner's mind is very interesting. And I'd love to hear, really. Go for it. Okay. What's your name?
My name's Nellie.
Nellie. Hi, welcome.
Thank you. I think for me, when I'm
Hold it right up close.
I think for me, when I'm doing the sound, I feel a little more focused, and I think I'm yet in that stage of practice where I lose my I lose my breath and start on trains of thought, and so the kind of brings me back in a little sooner than just the breath. So that's, I think, what I feel between the two.
Oh, did I hear? It's a little hard to hear with the echo.
You're good.
Did you say that? So you watch your breath, and then of course thoughts go here and there. And did I hear you say that the home kind of brings you back?
Yeah, it's like easier for me to focus and stay with it than with just the breath.
Nice, interesting. You wouldn't assume that, right? Yeah, very nice. Can I borrow this?
Sure.
We need to be able to throw. It's actually said sometimes that sound is easier, especially for older people, which doesn't mean you, but anyway, that sound is easier to kind of stay with and focus. And personally, I find that I love sound, actually. It's a big part of the Buddhist tradition, very much part of the Tibetan tradition. And I don't know, it's just like, yeah, it does. Unless you feel it, maybe you feel it in your body, and that helps bring you back as well. So it's simple, but they're kind of different, these different nuances. And thank you for mentioning that, Nellie. Anyone else? On screen, in room? You'll just have to unmute yourself and say hello, if you wish. Anybody in the room? Jake, we haven't heard from you for a while.
I have a question, if you can hear. So for me, like I've been practicing for just past few months, and main thing I observe lately is that some days it's much easier to focus on the breath and just focus in general, but there are other days it's simply too hard. Like I feel restless and it's kind of difficult to focus or even sit still. Are there any insights on how, like if there is any preparation I could do before to kind of like keep my mind still and keep it focused?
Thank you, Michael. Again, I couldn't hear everything, but I'll respond to what I can, and maybe somebody will repeat to me more, or you will repeat what you said. I mean, one thing, in terms of preparation, really we can spend a certain amount of time with the 3 pillars and just allowing some natural settling to occur before you go to your breath. If you have time, you can do that. I didn't hear what you said in the middle. Did you?
He's a beginner, and some days he's better than others. Just like recommendations on how to settle his mind more, or like not be so distracted.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, Michael. Some days are better than others, and not just at the beginning. So you're totally in keeping with how it is. Over time, the settling becomes deeper, but it's not like every day is better than the day before. I think we've all noticed that, right? We've been practicing for a while. It's a great question. Really giving yourself time to settle. And how does seeing the hung affect you? Does that help you settle and then go back to silence?
Yes, definitely using Om and the sound helps me kind of keep myself grounded and focus much better than like just focusing on breath. So that's definitely a good exercise for me.
Wonderful. And I think you move closer to the mic so I can hear you much better. So this is meaningful. So you know what it is to feel more grounded. That's a significant part of our vocabulary as practitioners. And you can, in a group, we all do things at the same time. But when you're practicing by yourself, sometimes it gets weary looking at your breath because there's distraction and it's not that clear, maybe, or it wears thin after a bit. You can alternate and go to sound in a way that feels right for you. Actually, the advice is, and this is advice for everyone, very short sessions of this kind of thing. Sometimes we do 2-minute sessions and set your timer. 2 minutes with your breath, 2 minutes sounding home. You see how that goes. And take some time at the beginning to really feel you're settling into your seat. And most important, be patient. The one thing you can definitely do is show up and sit for your practice. And that's wonderful. And you can't really script it after that. It's okay. There's nothing to worry about. I'm happy to hear that you're keeping at it. It's wonderful. Beginner's mind is very fresh, so you're noticing important things. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate your asking. Anyone?
How do I?
Microphone, please.
It's a very quick question.
That's okay. We still wanted a microphone, right?
This might not even be relevant, but I always find that when I'm doing the sound, I run out of breath before everyone else does. So my hongs tend to be pretty short compared to everyone else's. Does that just come with time and practice, or is that just how it is?
It doesn't really matter. We all are doing the same practice, and it just gets to where everybody's at a different pace, and it's fine however it is, depending on how much breath we took in, how well our lungs are developed, whatever, I don't know. The practice, sometimes it seems like some people have a long breath and they just go on forever and we don't know where they're getting it from, but other times it's just, the idea is just to feel it in your chest and in your abdomen and in your heart mind.
Yeah, exactly. That's why we always emphasize. Do it at your own pace. People are different. It may change different days. Good. Thanks for asking. It's not a competition in any sense.
It's not a race.
Yeah.
Okay, I believe now We move to the reading, is that correct? Okay. We've been reading as part of our Sunday practice in a book by Pema Chodron, Comfortable with Uncertainty.
Sounds good.
This week we're on chapter 4, The Wisdom of No Escape. Before I start that, I would like to go back to review a couple of sentences that Janet read last week. Those who train wholeheartedly in awakening bodhicitta are called bodhisattvas, or warriors. Not warriors who kill, but warriors of non-aggression, who hear the cries of the world. Warrior bodhisattvas enter challenging situations in order to alleviate suffering. So this chapter today builds on that, the wisdom of no escape. The central question in a warrior's training is not how we avoid uncertainty and fear, but how we relate to discomfort. How do we practice with difficulty, with our emotions, with the unpredictable encounters of an ordinary day? For those of us with a hunger to know the truth, painful emotions are like flags going up to say, you're stuck. We regard disappointment, embarrassment, irritation, jealousy, and fear as moments that show us where we're holding back, how we're shutting down. Such uncomfortable feelings are messages that tell us to perk up and lean into a situation when we'd rather cave in and back away. When the flag goes up, we have an opportunity. We can stay with our painful emotional instead of spinning out. Staying is how we get the hang of gently catching ourselves when we're about to let resentment harden into blame, righteousness, or alienation. It's also how we keep from smoothing things over by talking ourselves into a sense of relief or inspiration. This is easier said than done. Ordinarily, we're swept away by habitual momentum. We don't interpret our patterns even slightly. We don't interrupt our patterns even slightly. With practice, however, we learn to stay with a broken heart, with a nameless fear. Sorry, I need new glasses. With the desire for revenge. Sticking with uncertainty is how we learn to relax in the midst of chaos, how we learn to be cool when the ground beneath us certainly disappears. We can bring ourselves back to the spiritual path countless times every day, simply by exercising our willingness to rest in the uncertainty of the present moment over and over again.
You want to say anything? I think easier said than done is an important phrase to remember. I noticed that something in me kind of relaxed when she said that. So this whole litany of things, face your fears, face your pain, lean into it. Easier said than done. I thought, oh, okay. We don't pretend that it's going to come just like that. And actually, that's what we're training to do as we observe our breath. We're just learning to allow something to be in our focus without having to particularly react against it. Usually we feel we have to do something. You don't have to do anything. Just watch your breath. And somehow, what Charlie read so nicely, so beautifully from Pema Chodron, you know, that's an invitation. So it's not always as neutral as the breath, right? Stuff happens. There's pain, there's worry, there's fear. Who doesn't have that? And what if we could just see it? Not deny it, not push it away. It's just there. Witness. And of course, we start with things that are not totally terrifying. Small fear, small worry. Good advice. And if you don't succeed, remember, it's easier said than done. But we keep trying. That's kind of the, you know, we always come back to that. We keep at it. It won't work the first day, the first week. Over time, I promise you, it gets a little easier. Still tough days, like Michael said. So we need that kind of dedication and patience with ourselves and kindness, really. Comments, thoughts? Charlie, you want to add anything?
Yeah, it's fairly common that when we have a discomfort, we try to avoid it. If something happens, family member says something to us and we're uncomfortable, instead of thinking about how do we feel about this, typically for me, if something happens and I get a queasy stomach, I just go eat something. There are any number of ways we can avoid discomfort, but if we can talk about it or pay attention to our feelings for ourselves, then we can be more aware of what's going on in our body.
Makes sense? We're going to say something?
Yeah, I guess something that came up, it's not a question, really just a thought. There's a comfort for me when I think about how the discomfort comes up, and sometimes it's very uncomfortable, is that this too shall pass. I was thinking about a particular situation in my life right now that's stressing me out and giving me anxiety. And there's a lot of comfort in knowing that inside of Buddhism of impermanence, right? Hey, like, yes, this seems important right now, but a month from now, or sometimes an hour from now, it's gone.
Yeah? That's huge. And why don't we think of that when something comes up? Yeah, thanks, Paulo. It's true. It will go away. Yeah, Jay. And then we didn't get back to it.
I guess I'm wondering about like an extension of that idea that you can just sort of just hang out being uncomfortable, and that's okay. But if, to pull an example out of the air, you're spending time with someone who's like making you uncomfortable, isn't there something to be said for removing yourself from that situation rather than just being in that situation, recognizing your uncomfortableness? Like at what point is it like, okay, that's enough, I've experienced this enough, now I'm going to remove myself from this?
Hand it to Harvey.
Of course. You know, life is not a cookbook. We have to use discrimination. And there may be times when it's very appropriate to be with discomfort, and there's also times when action is required. Sometimes action is removal of ourselves from a difficult situation. Sometimes it's talking about a difficult situation. So there are no rules. There are general principles. And part of what I think is being addressed here is, in a way, a general cultural orientation towards anesthesia and people not allowing themselves to feel anything ever that's uncomfortable. I don't think she's suggesting put your hand on a hot fire and just leave it there. We do have to use discernment, and it's very, very important. But it's also important to be able to feel this is a hot fire. A lot of people numb themselves out regularly to everything. I think mostly that's what she's talking about. But it's a great question because there's no easy answer.
We have a couple of announcements today. A new 3-week online Teaching Tuesday series titled Fresh Eyes on Green Tara will start on July 18th. Go to our website to find more information. At the end of this series on Saturday, August 26th, there will be a short retreat on the Green Tara that is open to everyone by donation. All of these will be taught by Lama Riggs Ndroma and Nathaniel Rich, PhD, and Claire Villarreal, PhD. For the next 2 Saturday mornings, 9 to noon, we'll be offering an online class titled Bridging Neurobiological and Buddhist Views on Craving, Addiction, and Recovery. Diana Bodnar, PhD in neurobiology, social worker, and a steadfast recovery advocate, is a returning teacher from a well-received class last summer. This year, the seminar, if you're a social worker, you can claim 6 CEU credits. For the first time, we'll be offering simultaneous Spanish translation if English is not your first language, but Spanish is. For more information, see our website. And there are other announcements, but they've asked me only to read 2 on Sunday morning because it gets too long. Please go to our website and look around.
If you have questions about the Tara practice coming up, ask me. And this is usually the first of, in Tibetan tradition, we like to meet the awakened beings who exemplify qualities that we're trying to develop. So Tara is particularly tenderly compassionate, and she's quick. She comes quickly. And we want to be like that also. She's very gentle. She's actually, her green Tara is air element. She moves fast. She responds heartily. And this is the first such practice, tantric practice, that we usually introduce in our community, that our teacher, Alton Rinpoche, was the first one. So if you're new and you feel like it, you're welcome. If you've been taking it in the past, fresh eyes, always good. I think Nathaniel and Claire will shed some different light than I have been shedding. So we're looking forward to it, and feel free to ask more about it if you're curious.
And if Saturday mornings are not available for you to attend the class the next 2 Saturdays, it will be recorded. You can still sign up for it and watch it at a later time. Okay, let's do our dedication now. By this good may I swiftly once become a great guru, lead all beings, everyone, to reach to that very ground. With all of you in mind we light this lamp of clarity, May the low glow of love wisdom shine within us, everyone, till we all rise forth born in one enlightened mandala. Today, we dedicate the merit of our practice to all sentient beings, and especially to Tim, animals, victims of oppression, Laura, Chance, Colleen and Clyde Hunter, Sonia, Sandy and the Bardo and her family, Kirk and Monica, Bishop, John in the Bardo and his family, Barry Nye, Doug Roy Spardo, Doug Roy in Bardo, Deborah Ussery, Joanne Schneider and family, John Hyde, Mike Malden, Baby Rodrigo, Rocha Castro, Addison in Bardo, Tom Reed in Bardo, Bill Schneider in Bardo, Tina Turner, Bridget McKenzie in Bardo, and Jim Cathro in Bardo, Glenn Draper, Josh's grandfather, Namvo, Jeff Tanaka. Now we'll close with one it'll just be in unison, each of us sending out the healing energy of white light from the center of our heart out into the room and to each other and out to the universe. Thank you for coming today. Remember that these practices have a cumulative effect, and if you do them at home, even for short periods, it benefits yourself and others. Thank you to all remotely. We'll see you next Sunday.
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, Charlie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, Shane. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
thank you, Charlie and Lama.
Hi. Where are you, Michael? Not there. Okay. Yeah, good to see everyone.